Chapter 22. Upon the Black Sand. A misty drizzle has been falling for the last hour. One of the car's riders is as gloomy and miserable as the weather outside. The other can't wipe the grin off her face. She is finally fulfilling her self-appointed purpose. She feels energized and confident, even giddy with victory. Her prize, at long last, is safely tucked away in her backpack beside the Book of Relics. There it waits to join the rest of its long-lost companions, the various pieces of the Antikythera device. Sophia says nothing as she stares out her window. Iceland is beautiful, but she wishes she could see the sun. She hopes the next relic is hidden somewhere a bit brighter. She also wishes she could have had more time with Einar. There were 100 questions she wanted to ask, and she has thought of 100 more since they started driving. How could Lin be both young and old? Ancient history if she lives in the present. How can they protect themselves from the relic's unpredictability? Won't they be in danger of being thrown forward in time, or backward, simply by traveling with it? Be patient. Keep your eyes, ears, and heart open. You will discover what you need. Those were Einar's final riddling words to Sophia before she climbed into the car and left. She must hold them near to her heart as her journey continues. She must have faith that the road ahead will hold the answer she seeks, because she has no other choice. There is still an opportunity for you, Lin tells her that evening. The rain has stopped and the yacht is visible ahead, bobbing offshore. The beach where they left the Zodiac is now only a few miles down the road. An opportunity for what? Sophia asks miserably. She hasn't felt this depressed since her first days alone in the New World. To join me as I fulfill my destiny, answers Lin. I was sincere when I said I wanted you at my side. There can only be one Empress of Time, but you could be my right hand. You are brave, smart, capable. You could take the place Ettore abandoned. Just think about it. Sophia shakes her head. I don't need to think about it. I'll never think about it. I might be your prisoner, but I'll never be your partner. Then you are a fool, Lin says. A fool who will die in the end. Sophia sighs and says, maybe, but at least I'll be a fool who dies with her soul. When they arrive at the beach, they park and exit the car. Lin grabs the backpack from behind her seat and leads the way down the black sand to the water's edge. But as they approach the Zodiac, both realize there is a problem. What is this? Lin shrieks, the rage boiling up and out of her. How did this happen? The inflatable watercraft has been ripped to shreds. From its pontoons to its seats, anything that used to hold air can do so no longer. How are we supposed to get back to the boat? Sophia asks, staring out over the water. Then, as if answering her question, or challenging it, a flash of light engulfs the yacht. A rich boom like a cannon blast bursts against her eardrums, followed by a low, ferocious rumble. Lin screams with a fury unlike anything Sophia has heard before. The yacht, floating lazily in the waves only moments earlier, has been swallowed in the flames of a massive explosion. Already, a plume of thick, oily smoke rises heavenward. Sophia turns to find Lin standing statue still, a single tear rolling down each cheek. Despair and rage are mingled together in her eyes. The girl realizes why. Not only has Lin lost her ride away from the island, she could always find another boat, but she has also lost all her people. Columbia and Cook, the last two, were waiting on board for the return of their empress. Now, their remains are either swirling upward with the smoke, or sinking into the ocean with the rest of the ship. Sophia is about to say something, to offer some kind of sympathy, but the words catch in her throat. Lin, she whispers with alarm, turn around. Surrounding them, like phantoms in the twilight, are 5 figures. Together, they form a half-moon shape, tightening as they close in on Sophia and Lin. They are completely cut off from the car. They can't even make a break down the beach without a fight. Outnumbered and pinned against the sea, surrender is their only option. Without warning, Lin yanks Sophia roughly by the shoulder. She locks her arm around the girl's throat, pinning Sophia against her own body. With her free hand, Lin seizes the pistol from Sophia's hip holster and presses its muzzle against the girl's temple. Sophia is so surprised, she hardly has time to cry out before Lin yells, "I warned you, Etere. I warned you what would happen if you followed me." Sophia squints for a better look at the dark figures. In a moment, her heart rises from the darkness of terror into the light of radiant joy. They have come for her. Her friends have come for her. Kira and Kyla make up the left flank of the encroaching semicircle. Dario and little Gabriel the right. Etere, the leader who brought them here, walks ahead of the rest. The only ones not present are Micah and Bixby. Despite Sophia's joy, there is a resurgent wave of sadness as she remembers their lifeless bodies on the floor of the North Cape Hall. She realizes then that they never left. But there will be time for tears and grieving later. Now is the moment of reckoning. It begins with Etere. The sound of his gentle voice cheers Sophia's heart as he says, "What then, Lin? What will you do after you kill her? Do you think you can gun us all down as well?" He shakes his head. "There is only one escape for you now. Let her go, and you will receive the same courtesy from us. As will your friends. I believe you call them Columbia and Cook." "They're alive?" Lin asks. "How do I know you aren't lying?" "I suppose you don't," replies Etere. "You will have to trust that I am telling the truth. Between the two of us, I believe my word is the more trustworthy." "Trustworthy?" Lin sneers. "How dare you lecture me on what it means to be trustworthy?" Now addressing the rest of Etere's crew, she asks, "Has your trustworthy leader shown you what he carries around in that suitcase? Has he? Maybe you should ask him. And has the most trustworthy Etere told you about his past? Did he tell you how he came to be such a renowned physicist? Or how he came to know so much about the Antikythera device, even before we broke into the Vatican library together?" "Lin, please," Etere begins calmly, but he is cut off. "If you were so trustworthy," cries Lin, "you would not have abandoned me the way you did. If you were so trustworthy, you would not have stolen all the research we did together, leaving in the middle of the night without so much as a goodbye kiss. If you were truly trustworthy, you would have lived up to at least one of your promises to me. If you were trustworthy, you would still be at my side, just as you said you always would be." Etere lowers his head, ashamed. Quietly, he says, "I could not follow you down that path any longer. I admit that the desire for power got the better of me, but only for a time. Then your mind and heart grew darker. Or perhaps that is how they always were, and I merely began to see the truth." "But you promised me!" Lin screams, her voice sputtering and cracking with deep emotion. "You promised me!" "Yes," Etere replies. "But you must learn, Lin, that only a fool will continue doing what he knows is wrong, no matter what promises he's made." Lin's sobs tremble against Sophia's back. Suddenly the girl is very afraid for her life. If Lin can do terrible things when she is calm and calculated, what damage might she cause when whipped into such an emotional state? Etere breaks away from the semicircle. He steps forward and says, "Listen to me, Lin. I have Columbia and Cook tied up nearby. One of my people is guarding them." A flutter of hope stirs in Sophia's breast. Who else could this be but Micah? If you kill Sophia, Ettore continues, Dario will radio the guard, and Columbia and Cook will die. But if you let Sophia live, if you let her go, I will release them at once. The ensuing pause lasts only a few seconds. To Sophia, it feels like an hour. Then Lin relaxes her hold on the girl's throat and pushes her toward Ettore. Wrapping her arms around his waist, Sophia buries her face in Ettore's suitcoat. She knows she can't hold on forever, but she wishes she could. He squeezes her briefly and whispers, Behind me now, Sophia. This isn't over yet. Sophia scurries across the black sand to Gabriel. As if she just found her own lost brother, she gathers him up in her arms and presses his freckled cheek against her own. She is powerless to restrain her joyful tears any longer as she whispers, I was scared I'd never see you again. I wasn't, Gabriel replies, because Micah told me the bad guys never win. Sophia laughs aloud. Her joy over hearing Micah's name on Gabriel's lips could not be more complete, not unless Bixby himself came trotting down the beach. No, they don't, she whispers. She lets go of him and looks lovingly down into his almond-colored eyes. Not today, at least. Remembering the tense standoff happening behind her, Sophia returns her attention to the lovers turned enemies. Thank you, Lin, says Ettore. His words are heartfelt. And now, for my end of the bargain. He nods at Dario, who unclips a walkie-talkie from his belt. Cut them loose and send them back to the beach, Dario orders into the two-way radio. Lin will be waiting here for them. Ettore approaches Lin until he is standing within arm's reach. Without breaking his gaze from hers, he extends a hand, palm upward. I also need the gun, Lin, he calmly demands. You can have it, she replies with a cold snarl, but only after I have used it. Ettore furrows his brow, perplexed at what she might mean. I said I would let Sophia live, Lin explains. But I said nothing about you. Ettore cries out in horror. He realizes her murderous intentions, but too late. Lin raises the pistol to his forehead, and, amid a chaotic chorus of shouting, pulls the trigger. Nothing happens. She squeezes the trigger a second time, and then a third, but a harmless click is the only sound the pistol produces. I probably should have told you, Sophia says, grinning slyly as she strolls toward Lin. There aren't any bullets left. I used them to fend off the Vikings. Every last one. But then, when we were at the cliffs... Sophia cuts her off. That's right. I didn't have any bullets then either. If I did, do you really think I would have backed down? I would have shot you 100 times before I let you hurt Einar. Lin falls into a seething silence. She knows she has lost. Holding out her open hand, Sophia says, I'll take my pistol now. Defeated, Lin places the gun into her outstretched palm. And we'll take the backpack, Sophia adds. Upon hearing this, Lin backs away, searching furiously for an exit. But there is none. Only the cold sea behind her, and her enemies in front. I will never forgive this, Lin hisses, slipping the backpack's straps from her shoulders. The next time I see you, I will kill you with my bare hands. Sophia takes the backpack and replies, If you see me again, and if that happens, I'll be ready for you. Until then, good luck. Go find your friends. I know you've given up on them, but they might still be alive. And think about what Einar told you, about your choices. You can always take a different road. With that, Sophia Faraday takes one last look at Lin Lai and rejoins her friends. Wait here for Columbia and Cook, Ettore instructs Lin. Then go, find somewhere to live out your life in peace. I beg it of you. Lin doesn't reply. Angry tears glisten in her eyes as she turns and sits and stares out at the darkening sea. This world has so much to give you, Ettore whispers. There is an unmistakable look of longing in his face as he adds, "Be content with that." Then he too turns upon the beach, leaving the Empress of Time to fume upon the black sand, backpackless and utterly alone.